Welcome to Smart Women Talk. This is your host, Katana Abbott. I'm a midlife millionaire coach and a certified financial planner, and I search the world for smart women and a few good men, including best-selling authors and thought leaders who are on that leading edge. So join us for conversations on money, business, health, and inspiration, so you can live with more purpose, passion, and prosperity. This is Katana Abbott, and I want to welcome you to Smart Women Talk. Today, I've invited my colleague, Colleen Kilpatrick, to have a conversation with me about money mindset and how to shift the way we think about money. Because see, how you handle money is how you handle everything. And how you handle money will affect everything in your life, where you live, what you eat, where your kids go to school, who you hang out with, and ultimately it's going to affect how you live in your retirement. So we're going to cover three things: the 5 money personalities, the top 3 mindset secrets of millionaires, and then we're going to give you the one thing you can use to shift your prosperity. And it's very, very easy. We can all do it. So you're going to leave with things you can implement immediately. Now, you all know who I am. I'm your host. I've been doing this show for about 15 years. I'm a certified financial planner. I'm focused right now on leading Social Security optimization seminars and doing planning. But I've been also running the Smart Women Empowerment, which hosts this show for 15 years. So I am so thrilled that you're here. And I want to thank Colleen for joining us. And Colleen, why don't you share with the guests a little bit about yourself? I think that would be fun for them to know a little bit about yourself. I know you've got a new book out and you're doing some great things.
Yeah, thank you so much, Katana, for having me here too. I always enjoy our conversations. So thank you. So I am a multi-passionate entrepreneur. That's how I would classify myself. I have a lot of things that I do. I have an Airbnb that I offer to people who are in transition, either in real estate transition or have a claim for insurance after a flood or a fire. So I love hospitality. I was in that industry for a number of years. By training, I'm a marketing person, and I'm also a new author of a book about eliminating what you tolerate. So that's what I'm up to these days.
And you are the greatest at eliminating clutter and organizing and making things just beautiful too, and simplicity.
Oh, thank you so much. I truly enjoy it. And I get other people on board with me and we go through the process together. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, thanks for doing this show together. We're just going to have a conversation about all these different topics. And I know you have so much to share as well.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this. We talked about this before. When you were first starting your organization, you did a survey of women to try to get a feel for what their challenges were, what their fears were around money. And a lot of interesting things came up in that, right? What happened? What did you learn?
It was a 1-question survey. What's the single biggest challenge holding you back from living your perfect life? That was the question. Number 1 was money. Number 2 was clarity. And number 3 was confidence. And so even though money was an issue, that with confidence and clarity, it's not knowing where to start. They didn't know where to start. And so it really makes sense. And I also want to share the Fidelity Fit study that we talked about. Women thought it was too personal to talk about money. 50% of the women who had a financial planner had never even met with the person. Wow. I thought that was kind of strange because I've been doing this since I was in late 20s. So talking about money has not been a big problem for myself, but I know for many women, they don't want to deal with it. So I started teaching financial literacy at some of the local women's shelters. And I remember sitting at a round table with all these women. They were from all walks of life. At this shelter, these were women who had been abused. They had children. And so I know that when there's sexual abuse or physical abuse, there's usually financial abuse as well. And those who know my own story know that's exactly what happened there. So when I asked the women, what do you do with money when you get it? Overwhelmingly, the answer was they get rid of it. So we had to dig down to find out, well, why do you get rid of it? It's because they associated pain with the money. So
Wow.
think about that idea of financial abuse and physical abuse, or with their children, this abuse going on, but it was tied to the money. I just went to a fundraiser there, a dedication, because they got a new building. And this man was saying, so do you teach the women budgeting when you come here? And I said, no, I've really never taught budgeting. We work with the mindset, because until they understand their relationship with money and how it's affecting them, they're not going to do a budget.
That makes absolute perfect sense. Yeah. And when you say they get rid of it, the women in the shelter, what did they mean by that? Do they spend it on necessary things or unnecessary things, or do they give it away? What do they do with it?
Everything. It was all of those things. And these women, after being in the program a year later, they went from being homeless in transitional housing to graduating from college. One woman not only got a job, but she ended up buying a home for her daughters. Mm. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. I mean, if we just came out with a budget, that's not going to help them.
No, not at all. I know when I first met you, I saw you speak at a women's gathering about money, and you shared your very moving story. But one of the things you helped me do in those early days when we first started working together was you helped me identify my money personality. First of all, those two words together are pretty powerful. I remember thinking, wow, I have a money personality. Like, that's part of my personality, how I spend money. So that was pretty illuminating to learn about money personalities. Can you tell us a little bit about those? Because I bet you everybody who's listening or watching would love to know what their money personality is and how it drives them, like to spend or not spend. I'd love to hear more.
We all have a money story, and our money story creates our money personality and our money mindset. And so in these personalities, these are all stemming from experiences that we had when we were really young.
So there's a story, there's something happens to the child, they interpret it a certain way, and that becomes their money personality, or that forms their money personality. Is that what you're saying? Is that right?
Yes. And it comes from an experience you had. So some of us may have grown up with being told money doesn't grow on trees. Like, life is really tough. You've even heard the thing like, life is tough and then you die.
Right.
I mean, just like real negative. But then there are other people that are raised where there's always enough. Even like my husband, his parents were always very poor, but he never knew it until one day when he heard his parents talking. And I'll get into that mindset in a minute. He heard his parents talking about they didn't have enough money to pay for something. And he became very, very scared. Now they found a solution to it, but that turned his world upside down, and it created his money personality. So it could be something that subtle.
Right. And again, if he heard that as a child, he interpreted it as something scary. Right. So then he was unsure of what was going to happen within the family dynamic, not really understanding it from a mature point of view, but from a child's point of view.
Right. And so it creates these limiting beliefs that we believe are true. Dr. Bruce Lipton has Biology of Beliefs. He has a book called that, and I think there's a program related to it. A lot of times these happen really young in life. And so up until age 7, we're just recording everything we see, everything we feel, everything we're told, as if it's truth.
Right.
And he says all these things are stored in the tissue of the body. It's more, it's scientific. And there's a lot of studies around this. And I've actually interviewed a lot of people that do work in these areas. And I've pulled a little bit of information from all those people to confirm. And I've kind of created my own little system for it. But it creates these limiting beliefs that hold us back. And so there's 5 money personalities. When I say them, the first thing I want you to think about is, when I say what they are, I want you to think about which one resonates. Maybe write it down or just remember it. So there's love. There is security, recognition, value, and status.
Okay.
Do any of those jump out at you, Colleen?
Security.
Security. Okay. First of all, I want everyone to think about theirs, but let's start with the love personality, because everybody would think, oh, I want to be the love personality, right? So the love personality has no connection to money. It's almost as if it's play money. I actually had one woman who described it as monopoly money. Mm-hmm. We have a belief system like there's always more where that came from. And every personality has a desire, and then they have a challenge. The desire for the love personality is belonging. You can imagine there was something that happened in their life that cut that, right? And their challenge is self-acceptance. And so there's three things: desires, challenge, disempowering belief. I need to do whatever it takes to get love. I need to do whatever. So it's going to show up by buying multiple things. I know someone, love personality. She had like 4 different robes, all the same, but different colors.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
But multiple things like that. And then they don't think about the consequences. Quite often these people end up, because they think the credit cards will pay themselves off, they go bankrupt or create a lot of debt. So they could create a lot of debt. They tend to ignore bank balances. They hide their feelings rather than speak up. Well, let's talk about the opposite of that, and that's the security personality. So with security, it's a scarcity mindset. It's a fear-based mindset. And I find that a lot of the people I work with that have money, they are security, and that's why they have it, because they hoard it. So their desire is freedom, but their challenge is trust. They want freedom, but they don't trust anybody or anything. And their disempowering belief is, I never know when what I have, love, money, my job, may be taken from me. So you can see where that comes from. Yeah. And so it shows up with overthinking purchases, micromanaging money. They live super frugal. They may undercharge for services because some money's better than nothing. They have a do-it-yourself mentality. It's so funny because as I'm doing all this, I'm married to a security personality.
Right. Mark and I relate. We relate because I'm the same way. Yeah.
It's so funny. Instead of hiring someone, man, he's on YouTube at 3 a.m. trying to figure out how to do it himself. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't, right? But it's all stemming from this idea that I have to do it myself. So a lot of times they are the jack of all trades. And so with my husband, he thought he was safe, but then he saw, oh my gosh, we could lose everything we have. So that's the security personality. With all of these, there's the negative parts and there's the positive, because all of these have very positive parts too. The security personality, they have money normally. The love personality, oh my gosh, they're the most loving and giving people in the world. So what we want to do, though, is to identify this and then learn how to stand in our power with money. The next one I want to share is recognition. And I know that a lot of people that are listening and watching the show are entrepreneurs, and so many of the entrepreneurs are recognition personalities. They desire respect, and their challenge is realism. And their disempowering belief is, I need to prove that I'm right or I can do it. They kind of feel like a lone ranger. And what I can share with you is there's something that's happened in that person's life that was so horrific that it caused them to go into an imaginary world. When they grew up, they have these pie in the sky ideas. They're risk takers, and they may be taken advantage of. They don't like being wrong. Then they try to prove, no, I can do it. So that sounds like a lot of entrepreneurs. And even if they fail, they go back and they try again. I'm a recognition personality, and I had to deal with that because I did throw a bunch of money into trying to start a business because That's not my strength, but I ended up learning all this. And so especially Mark and I, we used to fight about money, having a risk taker and a security together. But when you understand this, we saw, oh my gosh, we are perfect together. We're perfect together. This stuff is really, really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
There's just two more. I'll go through them rather quickly. There's value, and they overgive to the point of resentment. Their desire is significance. The challenge is boundaries. And the disempowering belief is I need to prove I'm a good person or I'm good enough. So many women have this. Not feeling good enough, undercharging and all that. It's going to show up by being taken advantage of, overgiving, even giving when you don't have it. And I remember someone I know who is a value. She's saying, I just wonder who's going to need me this week. Always having to put out fires because you're overgiving. And so their debt that they go into, it could easily be from helping out someone else.
Wow, so interesting. What is it, the question that you asked, that like to go back to their first money memory? Is that what it is?
I'm going to share the 3-step process in a second, but I want to just make sure if anyone is a status, because you had mentioned this before, the status, nothing is ever enough. And they need their desires to be validated. Their challenge is balance. And their disempowering belief is whatever I have or achieve, it's never enough. A lot of times that person had an overbearing parent that they never could be good enough. They never could have enough. So there's going to show up compulsively spending, picking up the tab, buying expensive items when they can't afford it. They always have to have the best, and they always want more. It's like in the 7 deadly sins, it would be gluttony, right?
Yeah. I'm guessing they probably brag or kind of throw it around how much they have or how much they make or that kind of thing. Or like it's a big demonstration when they say, hey, I'll pick up the tab for everybody, that kind of thing.
I know a lot of status people, they can be very subtle, but they're going to have the nice designer purse. Here's an example of someone who is status. He has 2 houses. He's got the biggest truck. He's got a big luxury car, a fancy sports car, and a Harley.
Wow.
But you can't use all those, right? And no problem with spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on golfing or going on trips and that kind of thing. Now, it's not a problem when you're really, really wealthy, but if this is your personality and you need to be saving or taking care of your family, building up retirement. Didn't you mention someone to me like this?
Oh, yes. When I was living in Las Vegas, we used to take portraits of a lot of doctors for their company magazines and whatnot. And we went to their homes. They were lifestyle portraiture. And their homes were always big and lavish and really showy, like every one of them was. And I was friendly with the wife of one of these doctors, and I commented to her on her home and how beautiful it was, and the gardens and the pool and all of that. She said, you want to know the truth, Colleen? And I said, what's that? She said, if my husband lost his job tomorrow, we'd be out on the street in a month, maybe 2. That was it. She said, this is all on credit. I said, wow. Big eye opener. And I had just read the book, The Millionaire Next Door. And those research talked about how they were surprised that so many millionaires show up with John Deere baseball caps on and blue jeans. You wouldn't ever know that they had $1 million, but that the people who were really showy had to live up to a high standard or an image that they were trying to portray. And so they spent a lot of money, but a lot of it was done on debt. So they couldn't leave their jobs because they had a lot of expenses and debt.
That's a perfect example, and it wears on us. And unless they've done proper planning, if something did happen to her, where would she be, especially if she has a big mortgage and children, or she's near retirement and there is no retirement plan. The retirement plan was he's going to keep working. We went into so much detail here, Colleen, that people probably have an idea of maybe what personality is you, or maybe a spouse or a business partner, or maybe a child. When you notice this, there's 3 steps. The first one is to identify it and to write down, how is it showing up? Write that down. Number 2, and it's so much better to do this with another person, with someone like a healer, someone who can help you heal that, because that's really what you want to do. I'm going to show you how to do it, though. What you do is you say, okay, I'm a recognition personality, and oh my gosh, I'm so mad at myself. Why did I do that? Why did I spend that money? Why? You're going to go through it and you're going to write it all down, right? But then what you want to do is close your eyes, take a deep breath, say, where do I feel it in my body when I think about that belief that I'm all alone and I have to prove I can do it? That's recognition. And if you feel it, you say, oh my gosh, it's in my, right here below my heart, which is solar plexus. These are all going to show up in either throat, heart, solar plexus, and your base. I've done hundreds of these, and it always shows up in the body. It's stored there. If I just say, go to where that belief is in your body, go to the feeling. Where were you when you first had that happen? And you're going to see an experience. I mean, it just blurts out when I ask someone that. And so you can either talk about what was happening, do inner child and talk to your little child and all that. But the easiest thing to do is just to release it. And I do that through breath work. It's so easy, kind of like Lamaze. If you've ever been through Lamaze, you breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, and you just focus on that feeling, keep your eyes closed, and you start breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth, and do that. I mean, 10, 20, 30 times. And you don't want to pass out. Another reason to have someone with you. But as you're doing that, that feeling you have, like that knot in your stomach, that pain in your heart, it's going to start shifting. It's either going to go up, it's going to go down, one of the two. And you keep doing this until it releases right out of your body. I mean, it happens. I've done it hundreds of times. I've even done it for therapists. And so this is the key. If it goes up, it's anger. If it goes down and it releases through your feet, it's resentment or regret. Then you need to do some work later. You need to write all these resentments, regrets down, or whatever, anger down, write them all down, have a little ceremony, burn it. And then the number 3 is to create new empowering beliefs. And you're so great at this. Give us an example, like new empowering beliefs.
Yeah, so I identified all of my negative beliefs that were keeping me in lack. And I then wrote the opposite of them. And then I recorded those into my phone on a recording, and I listened to it in the morning. It's in my voice, right? And it's an empowering belief about money. And it's very, very powerful to listen to it because I zeroed in on exactly where I keep myself in a state of lack. So yeah, that was helpful. But I think anything about the words I am, like when you write affirmations, I am receiving money, or I am creating money in abundance, or whatever. Anything you say after the word I am, you're programming yourself. If you say I am broke, you're programming your mind to think as a broke person. This is powerful to create these statements in a state of possibility and real time. This is what's happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is incredibly powerful. I look forward to hearing from people about what they think their money personality is, because I think everybody's minds are going now. But you also have discovered some myths about money. What is the biggest myth you've discovered when it comes to money and people's thoughts on money?
It's funny because in the old days, everybody had paper money and coin money, right? And now what is money? The biggest myth about money is the money itself, whether it's a credit card or whether it's a dollar bill or your Apple Pay. The money itself is neutral, whether you have a ton of it or you don't have a ton of it, because it's our beliefs around money that have the power. It's your beliefs around money that are going to either create money for you or it's going to take you down into a rabbit hole. Because you could have someone that has a very powerful mindset and they don't have a lot of money, but they have a little bit. And then they're so excited because they know they can take that and make money with it. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. I know it sounds a little cliche, but it's really the money's neutral. It's our mindset. And that's why it's so important to learn these tools.
It's so true. Me being a security personality, one of the phrases that I say when I go into a state of lack, like all of a sudden you have to pay a big bill for something unexpected. Thank God there's more where that came from. Yeah, there's a steady stream. It's not like a finite amount. It's infinite based on our thoughts.
All of us, no matter where we are in life, how old we are, how much money we have, we can all change our belief systems. And then it's magical because these spiritual laws, law of intention, law of attraction, all of these things truly do work.
I love that, Katana, because it's a very empowering way to think about money. And I know millionaires think differently. They're like, you've talked about a millionaire mindset, that their thoughts are different than maybe somebody middle class or even somebody who's in a very difficult situation. What are those differences? Can you identify those for us?
Every month we do a newsletter. And the newsletter is a theme, and then we do some shows around that. But we also have articles. In this month's newsletter, we have an article from Louis Schiff. He's been on the show many times. He's the author of a book called Business Brilliant. And he did a financial survey where they looked at middle class who had up to $1 million, then the millionaires, and that would be people that had $1 million to 10 million. And then they looked at people that had 10 million and up, the ultra wealthy. He has something called LEAP. This kind of summarizes it. LEAP. L is for learn what you do best. E in LEAP is earn by doing that, focusing on what you do best. A is find assistance with everything else, right? Outsource, delegate, eliminate, and use persistence to overcome adversity. So that means never, never, ever give up. So that really sums up the mindset that you want to develop. And we're going to actually share a book that will help people learn how to focus on what they do best. And because that's the toughest thing. The first question in the survey was, how many skills do you have? Because you think you want to have lots of skills, right? How many skills do you have, Colleen?
A lot.
Just said it earlier.
A
Right?
lot. My parents trained us to have lots of skills. Yes.
Yeah. We think it's a good thing. Middle class said 6 skills. The wealthy said 2 skills. And the ultra wealthy, it was even less. So it would be 1 skill that they were focusing on. Remember, he said, learn what you do best, earn money doing that. So the ultra wealthy, the ones that have the 10 million and up, they said 1 skill, and that's what they were focusing on. When you are a jack of all trades, you're a master of none. Do what you're exceptionally good at and delegate everything else. Then the survey said, should you work at getting better at things that you're not good at? What were we told our whole life?
Yeah, you make your weaknesses better by focusing on them, like focus on your weaknesses.
The results are in the pudding, I guess. So let's see how the people that didn't have as much money responded versus the ones that had so much. The middle class said, yes, 6 out of 10 people, over half, said, yes, you should get better at things you're not good at.
Mm-hmm.
And the ultra high wealth said 0. And you know what? That was Henry Ford. He said, I don't have to get better. I don't even have a college degree. I've got a telephone. That was how he said it. He could call someone. Instead of trying to get better, you want to eliminate all the stuff, especially if you're not good at it. If you're not good at something, if it burns you out, if it's something you put off, if it's hard for you, even if it's something that's easy, but it's not making you money, eliminate it, cross it off, or outsource it or delegate it. It's so easy to do today. Outsource, eliminate, and delegate is tip number 2. And then we'll just do tip number 3. Is it essential to know people who know people? That was a question. And 50% of the middle class said yes. 90% of the ultra wealthy said yes.
Mm-hmm.
What is the key here? It's not who you know, it's who they know. If you know 5 people and they all know 5 people, think of how that works.
Right.
There was another question on the survey, which was, if you make a mistake, do you share your mistakes? Middle class was like 80% no. Where the ultra wealthy said yes, but they share it with that circle because they will be able to get help with solving that. Oh, and also when the middle class made a mistake, okay, they said, I'm not going to do that again. They tried something else. Whereas ultra wealthy, they just did it again, but again, go out to their network and find out how to solve that problem.
What a difference, right? What a difference in mindset.
Yes, I want to share with everyone, if you come to Smart Women's Academy, they can take our courses. They'll learn all about mindset because that's what the first section is all about. But in the resource section, we do have an interview with Louis Schiff. We also have his book called The First Habit. The First Habit. And it's all this stuff that we're talking about here.
That sounds excellent. And people can go to the website and get that and read it, download it?
And yes, they can download it and it's free. And we have gotten fabulous feedback on that.
I got to go check that one out for sure. Okay, so wrapping this up, you said that there's one specific thing that we all can do immediately to shift our prosperity. What is that?
It's so easy. It's watch your words, watch what you think about, because who was it? Napoleon Hill said, thoughts are things. You have to watch what you say and watch what you think about, because you're manifesting even through thoughts. Can you imagine? And I know Deborah Poneman, we've had her on. And if you have this thought, like, I am so dumb, right? No, she says, say cancel, because you're sending out these marching orders to get more of that, right? Watch your words and remove words like I can't afford it. Any negativity, you want to remove it, especially if you have children or grandchildren around you. And so my husband used to always say that, and we had plenty, but he'd say, no, we can't afford it. What you need to say is, I'm choosing to use my money differently.
Yeah.
When I was teaching Midlife Millionaire with my friend, she came up with that. I'm choosing to use my money differently. And she said that to her son. And then she heard him telling his friends that.
They're like sponges, pick up exactly what you said.
Absolutely. I guess that summarizes everything. We really need to go through these exercises and to create positive prosperity thoughts. And some of the things like you were mentioning, in the morning, wake up and do your affirmations, go into gratitude, but then you also want to take action. And if you are doing not just disempowering beliefs, but your beliefs are going to create your actions and your actions will create your results. I think that's Harbecker.
Yeah, that's exceptional advice for everybody, because we all go into that negative mindset from time to time when we desire something or want to plan a vacation. It's like, oh, no, we can't do that. But you're right. You need to turn it around and think in possibility, always in possibility and abundance.
But if you can't afford it, you don't want to think that way. I'm just choosing to use my money differently. And then do the prosperity exercises to start bringing in more money and eliminating issues, and outsource, delegate, and eliminate, and focus on what you do best.
Yeah, for sure.
Where you make your most money. See, so there's all these little moving parts, but if you get them all going together, you'll have success.
Excellent. Great.
I want to invite everybody to subscribe and to share it with others. And we'd love to hear from you today. In the comments section, write down what you liked. Also, we'd love to know your money personalities. I'd love to see how many people have different money personalities.
Oh, that's a great idea. Can't wait to see what they write.
Colleen, thank you so much for coming back. I know we're planning more shows like this. We love doing them. And I want to thank all of you for being here. And until our next show, go out and live with more purpose, passion, and prosperity. Smart Women Talk is brought to you by Smart Women's Empowerment, a 501c3 nonprofit project of United Charitable. Music by Bill Lucas from his album, When It Rains. Available on Apple Music and Spotify. Catch us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And be sure to join our free community at joinsmartwomen.com to access all our free Smart Women resources.